Hey, what is going on you guys? It's Epic here and welcome back to a new video on the channel. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited because today it is the day. It is finally time for us to take a look at my Shockhound Zane version 2 build for Mayhem 4, True Takedown Mode and everything. I know a bunch of you have been requesting and waiting for this updated build since the new level cap was released, as well as for other builds like Moze, Flak and Amara. Those will come more in the future. They're not on my top priority list right now. I kinda just wanted to get Zane out of the way because Zane is of course the character that I main on a day-to-day basis, but the other characters I will probably get to in the future. Now, first and foremost, whenever I see creators do these updated level 53 builds, the one thing I notice is that they never actually change anything, you know? They always just add the 3 points on there and say, there you go guys, that's my build. Well, I didn't actually want to do that, so for this build I decided to completely rework the whole skill tree and also add new items to the loadout. So first and foremost, the build is on screen right now. You guys know the drill. You just copy that down into your game and yeah, it should be pretty easy. Now, while you're copying that down, maybe you've paused the video, you can't even hear what I'm saying right now. I did want to make sure that with this build, we weren't wasting the potential we had. What do I mean by this? Well, I noticed that with the Shockhound V1 build, even though it absolutely teared through enemies, it was really pointless. And you're probably thinking, Epic, how and why was it pointless? That makes no sense. And to that I say, well, quite frankly, we're using the Seeing Dead class mod. The name of the game is to get as many of them kill skills as we possibly can get. But what I noticed more than anything is that in the build there are so many potential kill skills that could help us out that we just weren't using, and like I said, it was just wasted potential. An example of this is best served cold for them cryo novas, and while at first I didn't think I would need it too much, I can definitely say it really helps. I also made some changes to the core skills like Donnie, Brook and whatnot, just to make sure that we get a little more better usage out of them. There were some points that definitely did not need to be in there, so I've changed them around now. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, you know I like to keep it transparent. I don't like lying to you guys or anything like that, and I'm just going to tell you I didn't really do all that much testing with this build. You're probably wondering, why Epic? Why didn't you test the hell out of this build? And quite frankly, the answer is I didn't need to. Once I found that perfect combo after like 2 attempts, it just worked. Usually I'm trying out different builds, different skill combinations for days and days and days, and this just wasn't the case. Surprisingly, this was really easy. So I do hope you guys have had enough time to copy down that build, because it's now time for us to whoosh it away from the screen. You're not allowed to look at it now because we're getting into the next part of the build. What is that part of the build, you might be asking? Well, of course it's the items. Let me open up the inventory, let's take a look. So because this is an updated build, of course I won't go too much into detail in all of the items that we have here if they're from the previous build. I'm only going to go super in depth into the new ones. So starting off first, we of course have the redistributor. As you guys know, this is perfect with Zane because when you shoot through his shield, every single shot is amped. That means every single shot chains. And of course, by the way, when you're going for your anointments, you do really need that Sentinel cryo damage anointment. So moving down the list, I have an Alchemist, but you don't actually need this weapon. I only have this weapon to proc all of my shield bonuses. We'll talk more about that later. But yeah, if you can get something like a Super Ball or anything else that can inflict enough damage on you to break your shield, which isn't a lot of damage, trust me, then you will be totally fine. But my weapon of choice is an Alchemist just because it's what I've got on me. But like I said, you could of course use anything to trigger them bonuses. Next up, I have a Kib's worth, of course, with the Sentinel cryo damage anointment. And I'm sure you guys know by now that I would typically recommend a ×3 Kib's worth, but this is not the case for this build. Now, by all means, you could take a ×3 Kib's worth, and it definitely would help with proccing all of your kill skills, but I just didn't see that big of a change when I used it. And additionally, when you have your Kib's worth, I would recommend getting one with the fire and the shock elements. Really handy, just a switch between them should take care of most enemies you come across. I don't think having a corrosive cryo or corrosive radiation or any of the sort would actually help out more than this does. So in my opinion, for me at least, this is the perfect Kibsworth. Next up, I have a Cutsman. Now this is the corrosive one, but of course I have a shock one, and I'll let you guys take a guess why we have them in the build. Of course, they are the all-time GOAT for taking down a Wotan. While the Kibsworth and Redistribute absolutely shreds him, I just prefer to use these because they're my favorites. But if you could get your hands on a corrosive shock Kibsworth, that would also shred insanely quick. Now, before we get into all of the shields and the grenade and whatnot, let's move into the rest of the items. First of all, a cash-infused Brainstormer. Now, truthfully, I don't use it all that much when I'm playing this build because you just don't need it, so you definitely can skip it, but let's face it, it's a Brainstormer and it's awesome. It will still shred through pretty much any enemy you chuck at it, and it will also keep them kill skills up way better than the Redistributor will because it's just not as powerful as the Redistributor. If you try shooting at a group of enemies with the Redistributor, you're probably going to end up insta-killing them. And to be honest, you're probably going to do the same thing with a Brainstormer, but hey, I don't know, man. Skip it if you want, and don't skip it if you don't want. Next up, I have a Maggie. Again, definitely not needed for this build, but I have it in here because I enjoy it, and I know a bunch of you will ask where it is if I don't put it in here. Again, you're going to want that Sentinel Cryo Anointment if you've got it, but honestly, you're not going to be using the Maggie all that much, so don't sweat it. And then the final weapon in this build is the Conference Call, believe it or not, and I never thought I would see this weapon again in any of my builds. I'm going to be straight and just say that I do not like the Conference Call in this game. I want to like it. It still holds a special place in my heart, but they murdered it. They murdered it. There, I said it. They murdered it. So the reason why it's in the build is because there is a very interesting glitch with the Conference Call and Wotan's top half. So no one really knows exactly how this glitch works. I've looked everywhere to see if anyone has a definitive answer, but it's still very blurred right now. But it seems that when you pair a corrosive Conference Call with the Sentinel Cryo Anointment, it totally glitches out Wotan's top half. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, that is the gameplay on screen right now, where I am pretty much just one-shotting Wotan's top half. Now, I've seen people say that you don't need the Sentinel Cryo Anointment. I've seen people that you do need the Sentinel Cryo Anointment, but I'm not sure what the concrete answer to that is. But in a nutshell, the reason why we're using this trick is because 1, it makes taking down that top half extremely easy, and 2, because it doesn't actually kill the top half. Instead, it totally glitches it out, taking it out of the fight and stopping you from having to deal with it. This is similar to how any character with the recursion can bug out the top half as well. So I have this on all the time in that Wotan fight to make farming a breeze, and it is really, really handy. And aside from that, it also shreds any armored health bar. Now, into my class mod, of course, we're using the Seeing Dead class mod, and yes, you do want as many points as you can into Donnybrook. Now, again, I'm not going to go over what this class mod does because pretty much everybody knows, but just bear in mind that you do need to own the DLC in order to use it. Next up, of course, I have the Electric Banjo artifact. I did play around with some new artifacts, but this is just the all-time GOAT for me. If you don't know why it's so great, you can check out my guide for it in the description down below. Really, really great artifact, and still makes this one of the best artifacts for this build. Next up, your grenade does not matter here, but if it does concern you, I have a Storm Front. I don't know why you would want to know what my grenade is, but that is what it is. And finally, for my shield, I have a Run and Gun Band of Sitarak. This will make it so that while Sentinel is active, I will move a lot quicker. But you might be noticing that the shield is level 5. And you're probably thinking, Epic, why is the shield level 5? And I'll be honest with you, I really don't want to explain. I made a video on this the other day, so if you want to check out why level 5 shields or level 1 shields, just low level shields as a whole, are really good, you can check out that video in the link in the description. But I will say that I know there are some people that don't like using a low level gear because it technically is an exploit, and if that's the case, that is totally fine. You can go and use just a normal Sitarak, but I honestly don't think it does as great as this does. Of course, the reason we're using the low level shield is because we do want to keep proccing our weapon damage, our fire rate, and our movement speed to become basically like God. That's why in the gameplay you're seeing on screen right now, I am just absolutely shredding everything I touch. Now, it does seem to be a bit of a glitch at the same time. When you get your stacks, the game just seems to randomly take them away. I have worked very close with some of the players on Moxie's Discord and on my Discord to try and find out what gets them to deplete, and we just can't figure it out. We've tested so many different things, but it definitely does look like it is totally random. And to who it may concern, that is of course why I carry the Alchemist, because I can just shoot the floor and then stack it myself. Now, you can only stack it so high on your own, but what I like to do is get a few stacks on my own and then let an enemy deplete my shield, and that seems to just turn it up a whole nother notch. And yeah, I'm just gonna be quite frank with you guys and tell you that not a lot phases me in Borderlands. I've seen it all over the years. I've been there to witness the Pimpahab glitch and the treasure room glitch and all of that stuff, and nothing really phases me quite like this does. There is something very ungodly and something very menacing about watching Zane absolutely move at the speed of light through the takedown. There was a time where I actually felt bad for Wotan because of how quick my guns were shooting and how fast I was moving. But I can honestly say that this is one of the better builds I have seen. In fact, I would even go as far, I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, I would even go as far as saying this is probably the best Zane build in the game right now. Now, before we end the video, let's just jump back onto the subject of the low level shields. Like I said, I know some of you don't like them and I know some of you can't get a hold of them. So if that's the case, I am more than happy to personally send you one myself or get some of my admins to send you one themselves in my Discord server, the Vault Hunters Paradise. I'll leave out the whole shameless promotion for now, but you guys know the deal about my Discord. You join, you get loot, and you just talk to other players. It's a great place to be and a great place to stay. So if you're all interested in getting one of these given to you, or if you are at all interested in just finding out about them as a whole, you can find the link to my Discord in the description and the link to the video on shields and whatnot in the description also. But with that being said, guys, that basically does it for my video. Only regret I have with this, I wanted to call it the Shock Lord build, but I couldn't be bothered to redo the thumbnail. Sue me. But with that being said, you guys, that is going to do it for this video, and you won't see another video from me until PAX, because that's what I'm holding out for. I want to see what's going on at PAX as much as you guys do. But I do hope this video ties you over till then, and I do hope you enjoyed it. Thank you as always to everyone who continues to support me and my channel. You guys mean the absolute world to me, and you know, it's crazy to think that I guess in like a month we're probably going to be at 10,000 subs. It's blowing my mind. But as always, you guys, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for your support as always. And on a final closing note, have a nice day.